6 o'clock. We are live on Facebook and on YouTube. Let's see, that YouTube channel would be LV Cornerstone Church, Facebook page LV Cornerstone, and we are also live on 95.7 FM right here in the beautiful city of Las Vegas, New Mexico. Oh, a lot of people, they don't know how good we have it here in Las Vegas, and you won't know until you don't have it anymore, and then you find out you just should have stayed home. We are in the 6th chapter of the book of Daniel. We actually started off a few of the verses, about 4 or 5 of the verses on yesterday's program, and we're going to continue because, as we've been telling you, when you get into the book of Daniel, these stories that we read, this historical event of the life of Daniel in Babylon, it's good enough for a Sunday school lesson for our tykes that come to church, but also deep enough for us to really sink our teeth into and get that spirit of wisdom and revelation, because that's what God wants to do. He wants to bring revelation into our life, which is better, deeper, much more lasting in your life than just knowledge of a bunch of facts and say, yeah, I know who and I know where and I know how come. Daniel chapter 6. Yep, the lion's den. It pleased Darius to set over the kingdom 120 satraps to be over the whole kingdom. We've gone through Nebuchadnezzar as king. From there we saw, and I think in between Nebuchadnezzar and Belshazzar, there was another king. But anyway, we've seen it in the book of Daniel, Nebuchadnezzar's king. Then we say Belshazzar is king, the writing on the wall yesterday. Now we have the Medo-Persians taking over the Babylonian Empire, and Darius, or Darius, however you want to pronounce it. Sometimes Darius sounds a little bit more high top shoes. It pleased Darius. Good morning, Yvonne. You're here early this morning. You beat Andrea. Oh, my God. It pleased Darius to set over the kingdom 120 satraps to be over the whole kingdom. So we have a whole new political government over Babylon as an empire. And Darius says, okay, we're going to divide this place up into 120 provinces, and we're going to have a satrap over each and every one. And over these, we're going to have 3 governors, of whom Daniel was one, that the satraps might give account to them so that the king would suffer no loss. So I don't know if he says, okay, you got 40, and you got 40, and Daniel, you got your 40. And these guys are going to be, I'm not sure how it happened, but it was happening. Then this Daniel distinguished himself above the governors and satraps because an excellent spirit was in him, and the king gave thought to setting him over the whole realm. I could stop right there in the middle of verse 3 and launch off into all kinds of stuff. An excellent spirit was in him. Good morning, Jennifer. Jen, buenos dias, amigos, from Springer to Mexico. An excellent spirit? Well, here's what we know from the scriptures, is that when we are born, our spirit man is dead, separated away from God because of the sin of Adam and Eve. But Jesus came that we might have life, and we might have it abundantly. And the life that Jesus came is a spiritual life that he has, that he wants to awaken my spirit man. That's why Jesus told Nicodemus, you must be born again, so that his spirit and my spirit would be intricately locked in one with another. And I could go off in a lot of different directions, but here's the point. And if we want to get some traction in verse 3 and go on to verse 4 and down the line on this chapter, I just want to let you know is that God's the excellent spirit that Daniel had was number one, he was open to the things of God. By faith, he was open to the things of God. And God's Spirit came and dwelt within him. It wasn't because he didn't smoke and he didn't chew and he didn't go out with girls that do, which he probably didn't do anyway. We find out that he's been pretty upright in his lifestyle. But it's by faith, ladies and gentlemen. And the grace of God is there for each and every one of us. And the grace of God is all over Daniel. He has been through the tests. He has been through the trials. He has been through the temptations. And every time it's been an opportunity for promotion in his life. We saw it yesterday when Belshazzar, who had not been using Daniel in his administration, and finally Queen Mother says, well, you remember that guy that your grandfather used to use, and you never have used him yet. We'll call him anyway. Let's see what he's got. He reads the writing on the wall. He gives him the interpretation. And dude, he pops up right out up to the number 3 guy in all of the empire. and then Belshazzar dies that same night. And Darius takes over. Daniel distinguished himself above the governors and satraps because an excellent spirit was in him, and the king gave thought to setting him over the whole realm. So the governors and satraps sought to find some charge against Daniel concerning the kingdom. Now, what we're going to look at this morning is let's call it an educated setup. No way. It's your birthday today, Jennifer? Good morning, Jody. How you doing this morning? Yvonne, Jennifer, the birthday girl, and Jody Roybal with us this morning. A setup. Can you believe how backwards these people were 2,600 years ago? That they set up their opponents politically. Daniel is distinguishing himself and the other 2 governors and some of the 120 satraps that are out there saying, this dude is getting too much power. We got to set him up. We got to do something. I can't believe that they did stuff like that. I can't believe that they used political power to try to destroy someone of a good heart and a good spirit and good intent. But thank God that we have gravitated away from that. So the governor satrap sought to find some charge against Daniel concerning the kingdom, but they could not find no charge or fault because he was faithful, nor was there any error or fault found in him. They called in the IRS. They called in the FBI. They called in the CIA. They called in Homeland Security. They checked all of the cameras that had been, and they checked everything they could against Daniel. They couldn't find anything, nor was there any error or fault found in him. So what do? Well, you trump up some excuse me, got a little frog in my throat. You trump up some. Then these men said, we shall not find any charge against. Jody, you said it, I didn't, okay? You have to be with us on Facebook to know. Then these men said, we shall not find any charge against this Daniel unless we find it against him concerning the law of his God. We couldn't find it in his finances. We couldn't find it in his personal life. We couldn't find it. Well, we'll attack him in his religious life. We'll attack him in his religion. So these governors, and here we're getting into new territory this morning, and satraps thronged before the king and said thus to him, King Darius, live forever. All the governors of the kingdom, the administration and satraps, the counselors and advisors have consulted together to establish a royal statute and make a firm decree that whoever petitions any god or any man for 30 days, except you, O king, shall be cast into the den of lions. Now, first of all, and I'm not going to answer the question for you right away like I usually do, where is the lie in this? Let me tell you what. The enemy in the garden, when the serpent came, there was a lie that was mixed in. And truth is truth. And the minute a lie, even just a little innocent one, if there's such a thing, gets mixed in there, it's not the truth anymore. So you look at verse 7 and you find out where's the lie. There is a lie here. So maybe Yvonne or Jennifer or Jody, and kind of, or maybe Andrea's out there, or Joe or Flo, or Chana. No, I think Chana's not going to. Anyway, all the governors of the kingdom, the administrators, satraps, counselors, advisors have consulted together to establish a royal statute and make a firm decree that whoever petitions any god or man for 30 days except you, O King Darius. Oh, yeah, I could see Darius saying, I'm not a God, I'm just the king. And yeah, okay, boys, well, if you can, except you, O king, shall be cast into the den of lions. We see, oh my God, divinity all over you, Darius. In fact, we're going to call you Darius. We're not going to call you Darius anymore because we can feel your aura when you come around. I think you ought to we've all consulted together. Nobody's answered my question about verse 7. At least not on our, maybe you saw it right away. But anyway, nobody said it. O king, establish the decree and sign the writing. Not really, but there's that's a lie there. There you go. That's another one. Jody put on there, you could be like the Most High. Now, the king, O king, verse 8, establish the decree, sign the writings. Oh, we need a presidential decree is what we need right about, so that it cannot be changed according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which does not alter. Once the king would make a particular decree according to the constitution of, and I just say, I don't think if they had a constitution, the Medes and the Persian, you can't change it. This is a setup, ladies and gentlemen. This is a stone cold setup. Therefore, King Darius, now he's not Darius anymore, he's Darius, signed the decree. It's kind of like that guy you used to hang around with in junior high. You called him Bobby, now he goes by Roberto. Don't call me Bobby. That's not my name anymore. Now, when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went home. So Daniel knows the decree. Okay, I have not gotten an answer, and I can't hold it in any longer. In verse 7, it says, all the governors of the kingdom. Wasn't Daniel one of the governors? When they come to Darius, and they say all the governors, administrators, there was one that we know for sure wasn't involved in this consultation to establish a royal statute. Daniel wasn't going to vote for that one. So when they come to the king and they tell him all the governors and administrators, there's at least one that I know for sure has not said, I'm not going to do that one. I'm not going to. We'll go to a government shutdown if we have to. Oh my God. And the setup. And we'll call lawyers, and we'll call everybody, try to pull out the dirt. Oh, king, establish the decree, sign the writing. Therefore, King Darius, he was a governor. Thank you very much, Yvonne. That's what it told us at the beginning. But he didn't agree to this. And when they come to him, there was one that was missing from the 123 or so that were there, including the counselors and Therefore, King Darius signed the written decree. Now, when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went home. And in his upper room, oh, you got to love the upper room, ladies and gentlemen. There was an upper room in the book of Acts. Something about that upper room thing. You know what I mean? You don't? You better find out. Ain't been to the throne lately? You better go to the throne of grace to find your help in time of need. Anyway, when Daniel knew the writing was signed, he went home in his upper room with his windows open toward Jerusalem. He knelt down on his knees 3 times a day and prayed and gave thanks before his God, not Darius, Baal, Molech, Ashtoreth. Throw them in all the pantheon of gods out over, God of the silver, of the gold, of the whatever. He prayed thanks before his God, as was his custom since his early days. Everybody knew he did it. Where's Daniel? Well, it's prayer time. What do you mean? What do you mean? I got some important stuff. He'll be back in a little while. 3 times a day, he opens a window toward Jerusalem and he kneels down and he prays toward his God. The setup. Then these men assembled and found Daniel praying and making supplication before God. And we got the pictures. And we have a drone that came up to the east side of the window where it was open, and there he is. And he ain't saying, praise Darius, praise Darius, praise Molech. He's saying, praise Yahweh, praise the Lord God Almighty, praise the Creator of all things.
Come
on that one. When I survey the wondrous cross. 30 minutes after the hour, 53 degrees current temperature. Looking for a high today near 85 with sunny skies and west-southwest wind 7 to 19. Gust today as high as 30 miles per hour. Tomorrow, things are going to change a little bit. Partly cloudy. Right now, they're showing a 70% chance of thunderstorms likely with a high near 78 and southwest wind 8 to 18. Gust as high as 29 miles per hour. And on Sunday, partly cloudy, 50% chance of thunderstorms, high near 73, south wind 7 to 25, gust as high as 35 miles per hour. We are back into our study for today. I want to let you know that I have an email address set up for you. If you need prayer and encouragement, Cliff at klyn@gmail.com is always open for you. Okay? Let's get back. These men assembled, verse 11, and found Daniel praying and making supplication before his God. I am. Daniel, all we asked you was for 30 days. You know what? Daniel hasn't compromised from the day that he left Jerusalem. Why should he compromise now? You get in a place of life, hopefully. You get in a place in life to where you finally say, you know what? What they say, what they do, it just don't matter anymore. Daniel's not a kid anymore. Nebuchadnezzar, he was with them. Nebuchadnezzar came, Nebuchadnezzar went. There was somebody probably after Nebuchadnezzar. And then there was Belshazzar, and Belshazzar had his 14 years or so that he was king, the last king of the Chaldeans over the Babylonian Empire. Now it's Darius, that dude, whatever. And, Daniel says, yep, I was faithful when they sent me to Babylon with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, he says, and I'm just going to keep on doing it because you know what? It was working for him. They went before the king and spoke concerning the king's decree. Have you not signed a decree that every man who petitions any god or man within 30 days except you, O king, shall be cast into the den of lions? Time for us to call the judges. It's a Supreme Court ruling. Isn't this what you said? We need a quick judgment on this one. Isn't that what you signed? Isn't that what you... Well, I don't know. You guys were telling me how good I was, and I just thought I'd put my autograph down at the bottom of the document. The king answered and said, the thing is true according to the law of the Medes and the Persians, which does not alter. So they answered and said before the king, ha, 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 Daniel, how about Daniel, your buddy, your friend? So, I'm sorry, it's the coffee this morning. 3 shots of espresso this morning. They answered and said before the king, that Daniel, who was one of the captives from Judah, does not show due regard for you, O king, for the decree that you have signed, but makes his petition 3 times a day. And the king, when he heard these words, was greatly displeased within himself. He says, the king says, Darius, you dummy, you didn't think this through. You let them puff your head up, tell you how great you were. You signed the document, a document that could not be, exchanged. And it was a setup. The king was set up. Daniel was set up. Let me tell you, God is the one who rules in the affairs of man. So they answered and said before the king, that Daniel, verse 13, who is one of the captives from Judah, I don't know if you know who he is or where he's from, does not show due regard to you, O king, for the decree that you have signed, but makes his petition 3 times a day. We just happen to find somebody real quick who's breaking the law. And we need to, We don't do stuff like this anymore. I've told you. I've told you. We don't set up our political opponents. Everybody knew what was going on here. And the king, when he heard these words, was greatly displeased with himself and set his heart on Daniel to deliver him, and he labored till the going down of the sun to deliver him. He's trying to figure out how he can jump out of that one. And it's a ring of fire, just like old Johnny Cash fell into a burning ring of fire. Then these men approached the king and said to the king, "Know, O king, that it is the law of the Medes and the Persians," that they're putting pressure on Darius. We got to get rid of this guy. We hatched a plot. The plot is working real good. He ain't going to get out of this one. Know, O king, that it is the law of the Medes and the Persians that no decree or statute which the king establishes may be changed. It's not a statute, it's a statute, okay? So the king gave the command, and they brought Daniel and cast him into the den of lions. Oh my God, could you see? Imagine Satan and all the demons. I mean, this is on a whole greater plane, but imagine Satan and the legion of demons when Jesus was hanging on the cross, and they're dusting off their hands and say, "We got him, boys. It's all ours now." Everything's going to be tumbling down after that. Oh, 3 days later. 3 days later. Who's a bragging now? So the king gave the command, and they brought Daniel and cast him into the den of lions. But the king spoke, saying to Daniel, "Your God, whom you serve continually, he will deliver you." This ain't about Daniel, ladies and gentlemen. This is about Yahweh. This is about the God of creation, the God of the Old and the New Testament, the God of redemption, the God of salvation, the God that has a kingdom in heaven that rules over the second kingdom of the powers of darkness and over the kingdom of men here on earth. Then a stone was brought and laid on the mouth of the den, and the king sealed it with his own signet ring with the signets of his lords, that the purpose concerning Daniel might not be changed. I don't think he was real happy when he pulled out his ring and stamped it there over the rock, but he didn't have much of a choice. But it ain't about Daniel. Don't steal the glory, Daniel. Don't. And Daniel never even thinks of stealing the glory. We know that. It's kind of like he said yesterday, hey, keep your fancy gold chain and your purple garments. He says, keep your stuff and give it to somebody else. We're here to elevate the name of the King of all kings. Now, the king went to his palace and spent the night fasting, and no musicians were brought before him. Also, his sleep went from him. So he didn't take his iPad in there and put praise music, or listen to, whoever's the latest and the greatest over there. No, he goes into his palace and he fasts. Also, his sleep went from him. Then the king arose very early in the morning and went in haste to the den of lions. When he came to the den, he cried out with a lamenting voice to Daniel. A lamenting voice? Let's see what the Message Bible says about a lamenting voice. As he approached the den, he called out anxiously. I didn't like that one. Maybe the ESV has something different. In a tone of anguish. Lamenting voice. He just didn't say, okay, did he live or did he not? Daniel. The king spoke, saying to Daniel, "Daniel, servant to the living God, has your God, whom you serve continually, been able to deliver you from the lions?" Gotta love it. You just gotta love it. Potential is one of these days your kids are gonna come out of church saying, "Did you hear about Daniel in the lion's den?" You said, "You surely I did, man. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about being faithful. Let's give it a little bit more context and say that Daniel was faithful throughout all of his life. Like Joseph. Joseph was faithful in all of his life. Noah, these people, they were faithful to God. The grace of God, they allowed the grace of God to penetrate their spirit man. And by faith, they walked not by sight. It was very easy to say, well, it's just 30 days, I'll just fake it out. No, Daniel said, you ain't gonna fake nothing out. I'm going to wear that T-shirt. I'm going to put that bumper sticker on. I don't care. I'm not going to bow down. Thank God we don't have to make those decisions today, ladies and gentlemen. There you go again. Then Daniel said to the king, "O king, live forever." Daniel, are you all right, man? Did your God deliver you? Was he able? Oh, if you only knew King Darius about this God who is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we're able to ask or think. Then Daniel said to the king, "O king, live forever. My God sent his angel to shut the lions' mouths so that they have not hurt me." I could see the Daniel coming out from the pit, and there him and the king are looking at each other. He says, "Man, you won't believe what happened. An angel showed up. He shut the lions' mouths so that they have not hurt me, because I was found innocent before him, and also, O king, I have done no wrong before you." Favor with God and favor with man. Now, the king was exceedingly glad for him, commanded that they should take Daniel up out of the den. So Daniel was taken up out of the den. No injury whatever was found on him, because he believed in his God. Okay, let's move from the zoo back to the palace again. Well, where do you think the lions were? I don't know. I mean, I have to look at it through what I think it was then and what it would be today. Take them to the zoo and throw them over the fence. Let's see what happens. You don't feed those lions tonight, because tomorrow we got a special meal for them. And they didn't go for the bait. Amen. Brother Joe Gentry, amen. The king was exceedingly glad, commanded they should take Daniel up out of the den. So Daniel was taken up out of the den. No injury whatever was found on him, because he believed in his God. I mean, I know I get crazy here in the morning. I can get crazier. There was no lion teeth marks on him. He didn't even smell like lion. And maybe he was even petting the lions. Who knows? What would you do all night long? Just sit there in the corner and look at the angel shutting the lions' mouths. The lion looking at the angel looking at the lions every once in a while and just giving them that look, pointing the finger and saying, "Back where you belong, you guys." Don't you even think about it. Verse 24, the king gave the command, and they brought those men who had accused Daniel. We have a plot against Daniel. This one is working. Yeah, that's the same thing that Satan thought on the cross, my brothers and sisters. We got him this time. How many times the devil think he has you? How many times does he think, well, Jody, Joe, Yvonne, Andrea, whoever's out there, how many times do you think the devil has you and God comes to your rescue? And many times we don't even realize that he does. The king gave the command. They brought those men who had accused Daniel. They cast them into the den of lions. Them, their children, their wives, the lions overpowered them. Just in case you thought that the lions weren't hungry, that's why they didn't chew up Daniel. But all of his enemies, the lions overpowered them, broke all their bones in pieces before they ever came to the bottom of the den. Oh, I wonder how many. How many? Was it just a few with their families? Who was the plotters? Doesn't matter who they were. God's taking care of them. Then King Darius wrote to all the peoples, nations, languages that dwell in all the earth, peace be multiplied to you. Yeah, he's Darius now. He's not Darius. Just Darius is all he is, just a regular guy. He realizes that he is the king over an empire, but there is a king that rules over the affairs of men, and Daniel knows exactly who he is. Do you think that Nebuchadnezzar didn't want to know who this king of kings was? Do you think Darius doesn't want to know who this Belshazzar? He didn't care about it. But I got a feeling these kings, and you know, say, well, but he was a Gentile. There was in the covenant of Moses, there was room for Gentiles to come in. And we all come in by faith. That's the way we come in. King Darius wrote to all the peoples, nations, languages that dwell in the earth, peace be multiplied to you. I make a decree that in every dominion of my kingdom men must tremble and fear before the God of Daniel. You're right. Just a while ago it was, we don't serve that God. We don't want anything to do with Daniel because really it was a spiritual battle. Daniel was just, was just the instrument. I make a decree that in every dominion of my kingdom men must tremble and fear before the God of Daniel, for he is the living God and steadfast forever. His kingdom is the one which shall not be destroyed, and his dominion shall endure to the end. One of the threads throughout all the book of Daniel is kingdoms. Remember, there was a kingdom of gold, silver, bronze, iron mixed with clay. But there was a stone that was cut out of the mountain without human hands. Nobody's been able to make me a drawing about that yet, but one of these days I'm going to find an artist, and maybe you're the one that can, the stone that was cut out of the mountain without human hands. One kingdom, little old stone thrown down at the feet, and all the other gold, silver, bronze, and iron fell and turned into dust. His kingdom, whose kingdom? Daniel's God kingdom is the one which shall not be destroyed. His dominion shall endure to the end. He delivers and rescues, and he works signs and wonders in heaven and earth, who has delivered Daniel from the power of the lions. So this Daniel prospered in the reign of Darius and in the reign of Cyrus the Persian. Almost every king, Daniel was going to be there for a little bit longer than 70 years. He was going to come in as a teenager. He was going to die in Babylon. Probably in his 80s he was going to die, because if the captivity was 70 years and he was there, like let's say when he was 15, that would make him about 85. He was going to be faithful to God throughout all the time that he was there. And he was going to be rubbing elbows with the big shots of the empire. You see, well, yeah, no. This is important, ladies and gentlemen. This is like Joseph being over there rubbing elbows with the Pharaoh of Egypt in his days in the book of Genesis and Exodus. This was big stuff. And each one of them had their times of trials, testing, and temptation. as many of the patriarchs did, many of the people, all of them had their. We all get it. No temptation has fallen to you, such as common to man, or whatever it says. But God makes a way out. God, if you just wait, God will make it. And then when He makes a way out, it's a way up, not just a way out. Daniel prospered in the reign of Darius and in the reign of Cyrus the Persian. Stayed strong. He held on. Didn't give up. Tell you, makes a wonderful lesson for your kids. If you still got kids, maybe grandkids at home, it makes a wonderful lesson. But man, it speaks to us no matter how old we are. It speaks to us. Anyway, Monday morning, we start on chapter 7. And now we're going to get back. And chapter 7 is going to be associated with chapter 2 when we saw the dream that Nebuchadnezzar had, that he said, I don't want just the interpretation. You're going to tell me what the dream is first, and that image that he saw and everything that went along with it. That hasn't fallen away for us. But we're not talking about Nebuchadnezzar anymore. In fact, you go to verse 1, chapter 7, and you see that Belshazzar is named again, but we're really not going back. Daniel is just saying, well, when he was the king, I had a dream, and I need to tell you what the dream was, and I need to see what God has to say, because God is laying out the history of man. Pretty much. He's laying out there in Babylon, he's telling his people what's going to happen, what the future's going to be, prophetically, over and over. Get this thing in. So that's what's going to go on. We will start there. I'm going to put a bookmark on chapter 7. Man, we're even cutting it off a little bit earlier this morning. What shall we play here? How about some Jackie Velasquez?